12 signs of the zodiac are divided into 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. When signs are in the same element, it means they have common traits. The 3 signs involved in the water element are Cancer the crab, Scorpio the scorpion, and Pisces the fish. What characteristics these 3 share requires us to look at water, and the best place to start is with water itself. Water is shapeless, sensitive to the smallest forces acting upon it, fluid, and elusive. All of these things can be said of the water signs. The crab is almost always on scene. It's either under the waves or in its hole beneath the sand. And when we do get a look, it's scurrying sideways. We know it takes tools and strategy to catch a fish. And while the scorpion doesn't live in water, it usually makes its home in the desert, another environment inhospitable to humans. Notice there is no human symbolism in any of them. These 3 creatures live where we can't or don't, and there's something remote about the water signs. There are parts of them that you can't reach, and they seem affected by forces within themselves that you can't experience. And since water is always in flux, so are they. This is otherwise known as moodiness. You can watch them drift away like a raft on the tide. The person you were in conversation with suddenly has a faraway look, like they've begun to have another conversation, perhaps an internal one. With water, it's hard to say. Water is beautiful in how it understands nuance and subtlety. It tunes into the currents in the room, what people aren't saying, and they're generally right on. They have sympathy, empathy, and compassion. They're moved by music, the arts, colors, aesthetics, lyricism. If you observe this in the water signs, they say, sure, but isn't everybody? No. Another thing specific to Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces is that they really get emotion. This is the raw energy within the psyche, the thing that makes all of us the same. So this is the way in which water reaches out. People often unburden themselves to the water signs, and they want like no other element to be needed, so they'll answer the door at 2 a.m. Water feels isolated and lonely more than the other elements. They also like to feel things. The greatest feelings we have are for other people, so they like relationships. They like the company and the connection. Water, as I said earlier, has no shape of its own, so it seeks containers and parameters. They even seem to enjoy monogamous love, because of the strictly controlled behaviors that it entails. You see the water signs gravitating toward jobs like the military or other hierarchies that offer security and structure. You see, within confines, water feels free to be as sensitive and deep as it wants to be. However, they can be challenging in relationships because while they're very loving, they're also terribly inarticulate about what's going on within them. And their explanations can sound half-baked because they operate outside the realm of logic. They also don't seem to care much about this. It's their nature after all. But can they get their interior experience of life and relationships across to another person? That's iffy. And that's even if they have a lot of time to prepare their words. Water is highly subjective. These signs would probably be surprised to know how often their ideas are based solely on opinion rather than intellectual consideration of facts, or how much a single experience can shape their worldview. Talking to one person, seeing one example. This brings us to water's shadow. And that is bigotry. The element is likely to see a single person doing a single thing and generalize to a whole group. Likewise, it's difficult to have a wide conversation with water. The air signs will give you a global view of humanity, Water can't help bringing it back to something personal. This is also what makes them emotionally warm. It's what gives them a well-developed gut. It's what makes them right about where you're really coming from. And it's why they're the ones that people swim to in a crisis. If you like that kind of receptivity, that emotional intelligence, their ability to dream and imagine outside the logical mind, then you'll like them. Thank you for watching Secrets from an Astrologer's Desk, the elements, water. I'm Joy. More videos to come.